mindset is key. Whatever the case, dust yourself up and charge forward and say, this week, I'm going to get better result than I did last week. Okie dokie, I'm Didi and it's Citizen FM 93.7. So let's see what we can find on news across Africa. We have reports from South Africa, from Kenya, from Uganda, from Somalia, from Gabon. Even Cameroon is in the news. But let's start with home, Nigeria, where yesterday ended up on a very rough note. I bought it very casually. When the call was on WhatsApp, so it was very easy for me to just switch very quickly to WhatsApp status. The call was on WhatsApp, so it was very easy for me to just switch very quickly to WhatsApp status. And I saw on someone's status, death has been announced of former President Muhammadu Buhari, and I was like, what? I yelped. I was like, no, that's not possible. And I rushed to the no. That's not possible. And I rushed to the sitting room, grabbed the remote, and turned on the TV, and hoping to see that it's a lie or something. And true to it, I with Arise Television, and I was like, wow, it was actually Arise Television, and I was like, wow, it was actually true. It was actually true. That was how it was confirmed. That was just about the time. It was a statement that was announced by the family's spokesperson, Malam Garba Shehu, that made the world know that he had died this afternoon in a London clinic. May Allah accept his efforts that he made to stabilize the economy. Anyway, we know for sure that they're gathering at Daura at the moment to, lay him to rest. It was Vice President Shetima who was charged with the responsibility of bringing his body in from London yesterday. May his soul rest in peace. From there, let's go to South Africa, where we're hearing that Ramaphosa has suspended the police minister. Why? There are and Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrach Sibiya of interfering in sensitive investigations and colluding with criminal syndicates and also of corruption. There have been concerns, actually, in South Africa over alleged political interference within key enforcement agencies, and the police is one of them. President Ramaphosa announced the decision publicly over the weekend, where he stated, and I quote, he said, "In order for the commission to execute its functions effectively, I have decided to put the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, on a leave of absence with immediate effect. The minister has undertaken to give his full cooperation to the commission and to enable it to work properly." End of quote. Well, in the meantime, Professor Firoz Chachalia has been appointed as acting Minister of Police. Meanwhile, Kwanazi further alleged that Mchunu and Sibiya disbanded a critical crime-fighting unit that was investigating a string of politically motivated killings. These killings were reportedly linked to organized criminal networks. And according to the accuser, Kwanazi, he said that Mchunu and Sibiya are disbanding that crime-fighting unit. The president has also outlined the scope of the inquiry into what exactly is going on. He said the commission will investigate the role of current activity, operation. They will all be investigated. From South Africa, we're hearing reports from Somalia and Ethiopia. Well, there are reports of tensions escalating as, again, the ports deal talks have stalled. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hosted Somali president. There was a high-level meeting that was focused on strengthening bilateral relations, particularly in the areas of counterterrorism and regional cooperation. Ethiopia recording tensions, and they are escalating as mediation efforts over a controversial port access grant is stalling. The talks was brokered by Turkey since February 2024, and the idea was to resolve a dispute that was triggered by a deal signed in January between Ethiopia and Somaliland. You remember? Because I'm sure that I gave you update on this report. In fact, it's been a conversation. It's been going on since 2024. So over time, I've talked about it extensively here, how that Somalia thinks it's a slap on its face that Ethiopia would go and sign a deal with Somaliland that Somalia is considering a child of hers. Do you understand? Somalia does not see Somaliland as an independent country, and they are wondering, why would you go and sign a deal with Somaliland when Somaliland is in our territory? It's not independent. So it's like you want to marry my child and you are going to talk to her sisters. Why not come to talk to her parents? Yeah, so that has been the reason for the tension. Anyway, the agreement that Ethiopia signed with Somaliland was to see Ethiopia gain access to a 20-kilometer stretch of Somaliland's coastline. And in exchange, Somaliland would receive support for its long-sought international recognition. So Somalia considers Somaliland a part of its territory, and they are saying no. They are strongly opposing the deal, and they are calling it a violation of its sovereignty. Anyway, at this point in time, it seems like both sides of the divide they've not had a meeting point yet. There's still very strong tension going on. But we hope that it doesn't deteriorate beyond what it is right now, because if anything we need in Africa, if there exists anything we need in Africa right now, it will be peace. Gabon is in the news. They've launched electoral process for September 27, and it will cover local and legislative elections. It's been announced that a timetable for the September 27 election has been announced, and members of the National Election Commission have been sworn in by the Constitutional Court. So the revision of electoral rules across the country actually began on July 14. That's today. Interestingly, it began today and continued August 12. Almost a month stretch. And what this revision of electoral rules will do is that it will ensure new voters are added, and the deceased or ineligible voters be removed from the rolls. It will also register any chance of voting center, or any changes rather of voting center, and also update personal data. So people in Gabon who are aged between 18 and over with a personal identification number, that's what it's called there. Theirs is called personal identification number. Nigeria, we call our own NIN. So those are 18 and above are automatically registered, and they need to only choose their polling center. Electoral commissions, that's the local electoral commissions, will be set up by July 26, and it will be deployed across the country and abroad. And nominations for legislative and local elections are open from July 27 all the way to August 7. That's what's happening. Fingers crossed. We're looking forward to September 27 in Gabon, because that would be a game changer for the country. That would be a big day for the country, as they would be, marking local and legislative elections as it's officially on the way now. All things are official. Let's come back to Cameroon, where the elections have also been set for October 12. So you see Gabon, September 17, Cameroon, October 12. Well, October 12, Presidential elections will go down according to a decree that has been signed by President Paul Biya. That signature was appended on Friday, just a few days ago, and the vote will determine who would lead the country. Do you know there are like 30 million people in Cameroon? Yeah, 30 million people in Cameroon. And the elections, you know how our own time in office is 4 years. After 4 years, there's another election. For them, it's 7 years, just in case you don't know. Yeah. So presidential candidates must submit the applications within 10 days of the Electoral College being convened, according to the Electoral Code. Anyway, although the time in office in Cameroon is just 7 years, we know that the current president has been in office for more than 40 years now. He's actually one of the longest serving heads of state or presidents in Africa. And he assumed the presidency in 1982. So far, so good. You see how they're already reeling out the timetable for the elections. He has not said whether or not he intends to seek re-election this time around. Yeah, this time around, he has not said anything yet. In fact, some of the ministers in his cabinet have indicated interest, and they say that they would run. And those moves have caught public attention, and they've been criticized. They said, "Why are you